Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're talking about the one and only ZBEC network coin. Now, before we jump right into it, ladies and gentlemen, someone on Twitter posted that people are buying large amounts of ZBEC. See, someone put in almost $500,000. All right. Now, that is kind of crazy if you ask me, right? When we go scroll up, we see someone said, look at these buys, right? And have all of these purchases. And we can see, ladies and gentlemen, right? These are the transfer confirmations, and this is more money coming in. So, yeah, man, it's absolutely crazy. People are buying. People know the real deal. I mean, we are at a discount, right? We are at a discount. If we go to the last 7 days, we're down 12%, right? We are down 12%. We're also just generally at a good market cap, at a good price, right? 400 million market cap for a project like this is really, really good. We can see that, ladies and gentlemen, we're also at 18 million volume. Volume is to be expected to be lower because, it is the weekend. So volume always does dry up a little bit. We can see that we are consistently growing in holders, right? Despite the price going down, we're still averaging 100 to 200 people a day. So that is very, very nice organic growth. That is still very rapid growth for there not being a lot of hype in crypto right now, right? Things slowed down a little bit the last few days. Altcoins, they took a hit the last few days. ZBEC network in particular has been selling off practically, could say, since the ninth. So roughly a week now where we just been going, down and sideways a little bit. We've gone down at one point, even roughly 20 to 22%, but yet we're still growing in hundreds of holders a day, right? So it's really, really good signs. It's really good signs because once we flip from bearish momentum to bullish, instead of going up 1 to 200 holders a day, we're probably going to be going up 3 to 400, 500, right? That's just how it is. So I love it. It's absolutely beautiful. Things are looking really, really great. Now, let's talk about the analysis itself. When we go to the last couple of days, we can see that we have been selling off, right? Like we said, practically since, you could even debate, I guess, the 7th, but the ninth is really where we got the clear answer, right? Because we broke the structure, we broke the trend line. When we go back to the 4 hour, we can see, ladies and gentlemen, right? We were kind of in this trend line and then we broke it, but we also had to make a choice because we knew we had a high, lower high, lower high. We had these floors, right? And we had to make a choice because we were getting squished. Unfortunately for us, we did go down, but it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't matter too much because we talked about the scenarios. Either we do have one more squeeze to the upside, right? We have a squeeze to the upside, and then we're going to have a bigger correction anyways, or we squeeze to the downside now, right? We squeeze to the downside now, roughly to 0.0042 zone. And then once we start recovering and we go back to equal highs, we will have a more minor sell off, right? It won't be as big and drastic. A bigger pullback was kind of inevitable because you have to remember that the way these charts work is they need to have a pullback on the higher time frames, right? On the weekly, they need to have a pullback on the daily, and even sometimes in the monthly. Right now, speaking about the monthly, we are looking fairly, fairly solid. Yes, although we do have a high over here, right, where we topped out in May, we do have a nice bottom at 0.0034 in June. And the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, although we have a lower high on the monthly, right? We have a lower high in the monthly for July at 0.005. The reality is, if this candle closes as a higher low, right? Boom, let's just say even around this price or even lower, but we're higher than this low from June, then I do believe, right? Pretty much what happened back here in this scenario back in mid July, where we had a similar exact scenario, but on the weekly instead of the monthly, right? We have a low and then we pretty much have a higher low, right? I do believe as long as August closes pretty good and we don't go back down all the way to 0.003 area, then we should be looking at a nice pump and rally definitely in September, right? Definitely in September, we should be looking at a nice rally. Okay. Because the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, right? Structure does not lie, right? The structure does not lie. Just the same way that right now it doesn't lie either that we have been trending down and there are zero confirmations of any reversal signs. Okay, we can see on the 4 hour, right? We have multiple highs, multiple lows. We have this high over here. We have a lower high at 0.005. We have another one at 0.0049. We have another one at 0.00485, right? All going lower and lower. All the highs are getting lower. Okay. So we are in a downtrend. We are in a temporary downtrend. I am not too worried though. I am personally not worried. For me, all of this is just short term. Like I said, it's most likely just a fundamental pullback to this zone of 0.0042. Ultimately, I am looking to be dollar cost averaging. I do believe, this is going to be a buy, like a great buying zone. So we will obviously monitor that. And obviously, since we cover this coin pretty much daily or 6 times a week, we obviously will tell you when there are going to be reversals. The thing is, ladies and gentlemen, right? You shouldn't worry too much. Overall, the markets are looking good. Something like Bitcoin dominance is going to be a key player for us. And this thing has been just creating a bottom, most likely looking to reverse at least a couple of percent. So we might see altcoins take a minor hit. We know with something like Bitcoin dominance that we need to see multiple closes up below, mainly, the 60%, the 60.5%. And once we do get that, we should really be just selling off. And once we start selling off, I mean, altcoins are going to see a nice rise, right? That is just a reality. Altcoins will see a nice rise. Since we are already on this, we should just look at this. Right, this is a total market cap. We can see the total market cap is kind of just lingering around the highs. It is kind of looking to make this area here a support, right? So if it does manage to make it a support, then we will see another rally over the next few short days, over the next few short weeks. And one last thing, this is pretty much the amount of market cap for altcoins. And we can see we are just ranging, right? We are ranging, but we're going higher and higher. It's clear as day, right? We have a low, we have a higher low, we have a higher low. And, we're kind of just in this zone. But once we start breaking out, we're really just going to go contest and pretty much double in market cap. And you'll see a big flow in altcoins, right? An average of 50, 55%. Now, obviously, doesn't mean each coin is going to go up equally, but that is going to be a nice large pump for our beloved altcoins. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is ultimately going to be it. Let me know what you guys think of Zebec. Of course, you guys have been killing it with the videos. You guys have been killing the likes, the comments. I absolutely appreciate every single one of those. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.